Okay, let's see. Leslie, do you have any bad memories from your secondary school days?
Well, I have a lot of bad memories when I was still in my secondary level. One of which that I cannot really forget is when I am late going to school and the class was already started and all my classmates laugh at me. And for me, that's a horrible experience.
I'm sorry. It's like my worst nightmare. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then, okay, what aspect did you most dislike from those times?
Well, I think in general, I hate it, but I think the most scenario that I can't even forget or I hate the most is that when my teacher also laughed at me because aside from that I am being late, I was not able also to wear the proper uniform.
Good. Okay. And let's move on to talk about email. Is junk email or spam a problem for you and why?
Yes, absolutely. Most of the time, spam emails are really a big problem for me. Aside from the fact that the important emails that I should receive in exact time is transferred to the spam, it also delayed my meeting as well as the different important emails that I really need uh, is delayed. So spam emails for me is really bad thing.
Okay. And then, do you think you will use email more or less in the future?
Yes, absolutely. Email is essential part of my work. Whenever we have meetings, especially right now that uh, personal or physical contact is not appropriate because of this pandemic. Emails are great platform for us to be aware or to let us know when will this meeting happen.
Great. Okay. And I'm going to move to part two. So Jeff will take over and show you the question on the screen. And I'll give you a minute to prepare. And 1 second. Sorry. Okay, Leslie. Describe an unexpected happening or outcome in your life. You should talk about what happened, the circumstances which made it unexpected, the reaction of yourself and others to it, and whether the end result was good or bad. And you can have a minute starting now. Okay. And now, Leslie, you can have 2 minutes to give your answer, and you can start now.
Okay. I've experienced a lot of circumstances in my life where the unexpected that resulted into an unexpected outcome. This was last year, in the month of July, when I passed my NCLEX exam. Actually, I that was the time that I took my vacation in the Philippines for 2 months, and aside from taking the NCLEX, that was also the time that I spent my vacation with my close friends and family members. What makes it unexpected is that working while studying is really a horrible experience for me, and it is really difficult to stay awake at night and even work at the same time just to review. My When the result came, my family and friends whom I who knows it first was really happy and grateful to God that I did and ace the and targeted the score that I wanted. And that's for me, that was a very amazing experience, because with such a limited time to study the different modules that I need to, I ace the exam and pass it.
Good. Okay. You still have 15 seconds, but if you want to end, I can let you end. Okay. All right. All right. And now we will move on to part 3. All right. What sort of jobs can people hold for life?
Well, I believe there's a different kind of jobs that people can be employed for the rest of their life. It depends on their preferences. I mean, for example, for us healthcare workers, we can have this job until the time that we wanted to, and there is no retirement age that requires this job.
Okay. And then, do you think people can learn something from this unexpectedness?
Yes, absolutely. Being in a scenario that you didn't expect could really teach you such lesson that you need to be you need to be ready all the time, whatever circumstances it is. For example, in emergency cases, the alertness that might can be developed in those signs.
Okay. And then what skills are necessary to adapt to change?
Well, first of all, I think a person should be flexible enough to adapt to change. For instance, in the field of nursing, uh, we are dealing with life and death situation. So there might times that a patient could suffer from unexpected things such as arrest. So if you are not flexible enough to do these things, or urgently urgently respond to that patient, uh, and circumstances that bad circumstances might happen.
Okay. And then do you think most people have these skills? Why or why not?
Well, I think so. Yes, some people has these skills. Some doesn't have, because in terms of emergency cases, serve citizens can respond in just a snap of the hand, and those scenarios could greatly affect and benefit individuals who are affected.
Okay. And is it necessary to have these skills in life? Why or why not?
Yes, definitely. Having these skills is very essential for us to survive our daily living, and because there's a lot of problems that we encounter on a daily basis. So having such a skills could greatly affect us, and help us in to survive.
Good. Okay. And that concludes the speaking portion of the test.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay. All right. So let's go over the first part. Do you have any bad memories from your secondary school days? And you said one of which I cannot really forget. So you were definitely felt some emotion about that answer. And I could tell in your answer that you said your classmates laughed. You called it secondary school. You said it was horrible. So you used some really good words there. But you also said it's the most scenario that I can't even forget. So it's the most, what kind of scenario? It's the most painful scenario. It's the most horrible. It's the most, and I don't want to use horrible again because you used it once, but you said it's the most scenario, or we could say it's the worst scenario that I can't even forget. So the most what? So we need to use a word there to describe what kind of scenario it was. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So, and then you also talked, when you used some discourse markers in the beginning, you were talking about in general, and you said, yes, absolutely, and most of the time. And then you told me, well, I believe it depends. And first of all, I think a person should be. So those were some really great answers in the beginning to start your sentences. And then we went on to talk about what you most disliked from those times. And you told me when your teacher laughed at you too, which made me feel really bad. But yeah, you said aside from being late, so you're letting me know that you're going to tell some more information. So that was great. Aside from being late, but we want to make sure that when you said aside from I am being late, so you can say aside from being late, or aside from me being late, or you can say beside the fact that I was late, my teacher also laughed at me and I didn't have the right uniform. So, and let's see, you were talking, later we talked about spam emails, and I said, is junk email or spam a problem for you? And you said, yes, absolutely. And then you were talking about emails, the important emails that you should receive in the exact time. Or were you saying that those emails are getting lost among the spam?
Yeah.
Is that what you were saying? Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, so you're saying the important emails that I should receive are lost or are misplaced or can't be found because there's so much spam. And then you said the word emails, the phrase emails is delete. So you want to make sure when you're saying emails, since that's plural, let's use the verb are. Emails are, and then deleted. So emails are deleted. And let's see. Then we were talking about, do you think you will use email more or less in the future? And then you said, yes, absolutely. And so that was a great answer. You told me yes right away, and then you told me why you were going to be using it. And then when we move on to part two, so the only thing I could recommend in part one is, I know it's the very beginning and it's hard to get going, is just try to pull a tiny bit more. When you were talking about school and the bad memory, you had all the bad memories. You didn't need any more. You had it great. But talking about email is not really an easy thing to talk about. It's kind of odd and boring, but just try to pull a tiny bit more. You could, when you're talking about spam email, you could maybe say, maybe I should set up an email just for my spam so that I don't have this problem in the future. Something to kind of round out the whole answer, if that makes sense. And then describe an unexpected happening or outcome in your life. And that was a really happy outcome that you had there. That was good. I like the story. And you said, you were talking about your circumstances and your reaction. And you said, I've experienced a lot of circumstances in my life. And we talked about this last week with Oscar. I think he started giving sort of a generalized answer about circumstances and then going into the specifics about you. So that was great. You didn't say, let me tell you about a circumstance, or I want to tell you. You said, I've experienced a lot of circumstances in my life. That was a great start. I love that. And you said, what makes it unexpected is, and then you told me why it was unexpected. And you also said, working while studying is a horrible experience. So yeah. I felt your emotion there. You had some good, good tone. I do know that we used horrible when you're talking about secondary school, and maybe Jeff can speak to this. I'm not sure, do the examiners care very much if you're going to use horrible in part 1 and in part 2? They seem to be separate to me, so I don't know the answer to that, but I will ask. But if anyone could help us with some other synonyms for horrible, you can type them in the chat. So that would be not horrible. So that would be helpful. So we'll get some ideas for using horrible there. And then the one thing I wanted to point out is you said, my family and friends who knows it first. So were you talking about the people who were with you when you got the answer first, the results? Yeah. So since it was in the past, my family and friends who knew it first. Perfect. You got it. Who knew it. Yeah. And I love the words that you said, I aced the exam. That's a perfect vocabulary, perfect way of saying it. And it's great, rather than saying I did good or whatever. Aced it means like it was awesome. It was amazing. And then let's move on to, so on part 2, you still had 15 seconds left. So I'm trying to think of more that you could say about it, or maybe other people could give ideas. 15 seconds is not bad. So that's still 1 minute and 45 seconds, but just try to give maybe just a little bit more of an answer so that you use all of your 2 minutes or close to it. And then we talked about what sorts of jobs people can hold for life, and what sort of jobs can people hold for life and why? And you said, well, I believe it depends on, and I think that was it depends. So you're going to tell me more than one thing here. You said we can have this job until the time we wanted to. So there's no forced retirement. Is that right for healthcare workers? There's no forced age?
I'm not sure even.
Okay, that's okay. I mean, I didn't know, so I don't care if you're telling the truth or not, but you sounded like you knew. So you just said we can have this job until the time we wanted to. So just say until the time we want to. Yeah. Okay. So we can keep this job, or we can work at this job. So you don't have to have the job, but you can work it, you can keep it. And so then we talked, you talked about being, so we talked about, do you think people can learn something from this unexpectedness, and talking about skills that are necessary for change? And do most people have these skills? And is it necessary to have these skills in life? Why or why not? And you said, yes, I think so. Yes, definitely. Yes. And so those are some of the similar answers at the beginning. So we could think of different ways to say yes. So absolutely, you used that one before. Definitely, of course, for sure. Yes, I totally agree. So yes is a hard word to think of a synonym for. And then I like some of the vocabulary that you use when you're talking about being flexible, adapt to change, life and death situations, and that you said people need to urgently respond. So I think that we might want to flip that and say respond quickly, respond urgently. Yeah. And then you said in terms of emergency cases. And then you also used the words daily living and daily basis. I wanted to talk about two pronunciations. So when you said personal, I think I heard personnel. Can you say personal?
Personal.
Do you know the difference
Personal.
between personnel and personal?
Yeah, personal. You're referring to a person itself.
Yeah. So when you're saying it's my personal email,
It's my own.
yeah, it belongs to me instead of the word personnel. And then
personal.
I'm just being like super, super critical here. I'm trying not to be mean. But when you say the word skills, I hear a tiny little at the beginning. Skills. Can you say
skills?
skills?
It's skills.
No, yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. I'm just trying to be extra. Jeff said I needed to be more mean so we can blame it on him.
Yeah, no problem.
So you were saying having such skills can help us to survive. So let's just say having such skills can help us to survive. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Did anyone give ideas for horrible? I wondered if we looked at it. Oh, horrendous,
Yes.
gruesome, dreadful, dire,
Disgusting.
disgusting, unpleasant. That's a nice one. I like that one. Okay. Very good. Thank you so much. Do you have any questions for me, Leslie? Anything?
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
So it's okay if the remaining, if you have remaining seconds not to finish the whole, because it's 1 to 2 minutes, right?
Yeah. It's 1 to 2 minutes. So yeah, I wanted to ask everybody else that question. I just was letting you know that you still have a minute and 45. You still have 15 seconds left. So Jeff, what's the answer? Can she end early?
Yes, she's correct about between 1 to 2 minutes, but it still go for the beyond because it shows you like you're fluent and you have a lot of ideas. So it's better. So what I can say with that, you can add in the future. Maybe we could add in the future related to that topic.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good way to extend it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
great.
just a little extent. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much, Leslie. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Guys, please unmute yourself, and the next candidate would be Vanessa. Hi, Vanessa. Perfect.
Hello, hi.
Hi.
Camera, please.
Hi.
Okay, Vanessa.
Yeah, can you see me?
I think so. Yeah. You're
Hello?
wearing a striped shirt, right?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I think
That's me.
okay. Very good. All right, Vanessa, let's get started. What sports did you play in secondary school?
Okay. My varsity team. When high school, blue team, but I'm not good. I just the team
Hang on 1 second, Vanessa.
practice.
Sorry.
Vanessa.
Can you
Yeah.
hear her okay?
Um, on my side, I cannot hear properly, and I think there's like a choppy signal. It's kind of robotic.
I know she's talking. It's cutting in and out. I'm sorry, Vanessa. Let's give it a test really quick. What if you turn the video off and just have audio? Will that make it clearer?
Yeah.
Okay. Is this the same?